Welcome to a new episode of Inside the Economist's Mind. Today, we're diving deep into something pretty crucial. How economics teams, the ones with all sorts of different skills, can actually work together effectively.
Exactly.
And this matters whether you're running a team like that, you're in one, or maybe you're just curious about how economists manage to collaborate. Understanding this can really lead to much stronger analysis.
That's right. And we're basing this on a pretty interesting article from LinkedIn. It's called Maximize Team Collaboration in Economics with Diverse Skills. Looks like it was last updated April 7th, 2025.
Yeah?
And it makes a great point. Economic analysis, it's rarely just one person or one skill set. You often have specialists in microeconomics.
Like the individual markets, decision-making.
Yeah, that sort of thing. And then macroeconomics is the big picture, economy-wide stuff. Plus, you've got econometrics, which is all about using stats on economic data. So our mission today really is to explore how you blend all these different viewpoints, these different skills effectively.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The article kicks off with defining roles. Now, that sounds straightforward. Everyone knows their job description. But what are the sort of hidden benefits for a diverse econ team?
Well, yeah, it's not just about avoiding overlap, though that's part of it. It's really about enabling that deep focus.
Focus. Yeah.
Think about it. If roles are fuzzy, you might get two people accidentally doing the same thing. Or worse, something important gets missed completely.
Yeah, I can see that.
So in an economics team, maybe your micro expert starts, I don't know, drifting into macro forecasting, while the macro person is fiddling with micro models. You risk diluting what they're best at.
Ah, right, spreading themselves too thin.
Exactly. Clear roles let each expert really dig into their area. That boosts the quality of their specific contribution, and that in turn makes the whole team's output better.
That makes a lot of sense. You let the specialists specialize.
We actually saw this happen in one research group. Initially, everyone kind of chipped in on the econometrics, but once they clearly assigned it to the person strongest in that area, the models, the results, they became much more rigorous, much more robust.
Right, so specialization really pays off. Okay, so everyone's got their lane. How do you then make sure those lanes connect? So the whole team benefits from that individual expertise. The article mentions sharing knowledge. Sounds good, but how does that actually work?
Yeah, that's the next critical piece, isn't it? Because if you don't share, you're just a collection of individuals, not really a team.
True.
The article suggests some practical things, like maybe mini workshops or even just short presentations.
Okay. Like show and tell for economists.
Sort of. Imagine, say, the econometrician spending 20 minutes explaining the pros and cons of a technique they're using, or the macroeconomist walking through the key assumptions in their forecast. It's not about making everyone an expert in everything. It's more about building a shared understanding, a common language almost.
Well, everyone kind of gets where the other person is coming from, methodologically speaking.
Precisely. Like understanding the nuances of how the micro person models consumer behavior, that could really inform the assumptions the macro person makes about overall demand. It creates those valuable connections.
Yeah, I can see how that cross-pollination would be powerful. Okay, building on that shared understanding, the article also talks about utilizing tools. So it's not just theory, but practical ways to bridge those skill gaps.
Absolutely. And in today's world, with so much data, the right tools are, they're essential bridges. The article mentions shared digital platforms.
Like cloud-based stuff.
Exactly. Think about everyone accessing the same data sets, maybe seeing the actual code someone's running some platforms, even let different coding languages work together now. And importantly, leaving comments, asking questions right there in real time.
So it makes the whole process more transparent.
Hugely transparent. We've seen teams where just moving to a shared space for data visualization, for example, allowed people with maybe less advanced stat skills to jump in, interpret results, ask really sharp questions they couldn't before.
Okay, so it sort of lowers the barrier to entry for contributing to the analysis, even if you don't have the exact same technical skills. Less of a black box.
Precisely. It simplifies things, makes sure everyone's working off the same information and can actually follow the logic, regardless of their niche.
Got it. Now, this next one. Encouraging debate. That sounds maybe a little risky for collaboration. Don't you want harmony?
Well, it depends on what you mean by harmony. The article frames it as healthy debate. It's crucial, actually.
Okay, explain that. Why is debate good here?
It's about intellectual rigor. It's not about arguments. It's about testing ideas. When economists with different training look at the same problem, they naturally bring different angles.
Hmm.
Think about, say, a new environmental policy. The micro person might focus on how it changes firm incentives. The macro person looks at GDP impact. The econometrician questions the data quality.
Right, different lenses.
Exactly. A lively but importantly respectful debate forces everyone to confront potential weaknesses or assumptions they might have missed on their own. It leads to a much more well-rounded conclusion.
So you need ground rules then to keep it constructive?
Absolutely. Focus on the evidence, the logic, not personal opinions. It's like an internal peer review almost. Pressure testing the analysis before it goes out the door.
Okay, like sharpening the argument through challenge. Yeah, makes sense.
It really fosters a culture where people see constructive criticism as a way to get to better answers, more innovative ones sometimes.
Right. Okay, moving on. The article mentions setting goals. Again, seems fundamental for any project, but are there special points for these diverse econ teams?
Yeah, I think what's key here is how shared goals act as a sort of anchor, especially when you've got people using very different methods.
An anchor. How so?
Well, if the clear goal is, say, understand the impact of X trade policy, then the micro, macro, and econometrics folks can all point their work towards that, even if their tools and day-to-day tasks look different.
Ah, so it gives them a common target, despite the different paths they take to get there.
Exactly. The goals provide that unifying focus. They make it clear how each individual piece, each specialized analysis, fits into the bigger picture and contributes to answering the main question. Without that, you risk efforts going off in tangents.
Yeah, or not quite fitting together at the end.
Precisely. Goals act as the roadmap and the benchmark. Keeps everyone aligned.
Okay, that makes sense. And the final point the article brings up is reflecting regularly. Sounds like good general team hygiene, but how does it specifically help with the challenges of diverse skills in economics? What are they reflecting on?
Well, if you think about continuous improvement, this reflection is about looking how the team worked together, not just what they found.
Okay, the process itself.
Exactly. Were there communication hiccups? Did someone's perspective maybe get overlooked because it wasn't phrased in the dominant language of the team? Did the tools actually help, or did they create new problems?
Digging into the mechanics of collaboration.
Right. And it's not about blame. It's about learning. Maybe they realize that, the jargon from one specialization keeps tripping people up. So next time, they make a conscious effort to explain terms or use plainer language.
So it's basically the team teaching itself how to collaborate better over time.
That's a great way to put it. It's about adapting, refining how they interact, and making sure they're really getting the most out of all that diverse talent they have.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. For these diverse economics teams to really click, the key things seem to be clear roles, leveraging strengths,
Defining those lanes.
actively sharing knowledge so everyone gets the bigger picture,
Building that common ground.
using the right tools to make collaboration easier,
Bridging those technical gaps.
encouraging healthy debate to stress test ideas,
Constructive challenge.
setting clear shared goals for direction,
Unifying focus.
and finally, taking that time to regularly reflect and improve the process itself.
That sums it up nicely. And understanding these strategies, I think, gives you a really valuable peek behind the curtain at how economic insights actually get developed. It's often a very dynamic, collaborative process.
It really is, and it makes you wonder, doesn't it? These principles, clear roles, sharing knowledge, good tools, healthy debate, common goals, reflection folk, they feel pretty universal. Think about other fields where you need different kinds of experts to solve tricky problems. Science, engineering, medicine, even creative fields. What are those core elements that make teamwork successful whenever you're blending specialized knowledge? It's definitely something to chew on, maybe even apply to your own experiences.